Rob Brydon is one of Britain's most successful comic exports. His talent was first discovered by Steve Coogan, who became his sparring partner on The Trip. Other hits include Marion and Jeff, Gavin and Stacey, and the long-running panel show Would I Lie to You? Brydon is in Australia for a tour of his live show, A Night of Songs and Laughter. Before the cameras rolled in our interview, the famous impersonator laid claim to a convincing Aussie accent. You be the judge. Rob Brydon, welcome to 7:30.
Thanks for having me.
I'm just going to do this. You just tried an Australian accent. How good is it? What have you got for us?
I reckon that I did a thing years ago called Human Remains, and in one of those I played an Australian guy who had a really deep voice. It was based on a guy, actually based on a palm reader who read my palm, and he looked at it for what seemed like an eternity. And then he said, I don't know what words you're allowed to use on you. I was going to change it. He went, golly gosh, he said. So I'll base it on that. I've always thought that I was okay at Australian accents because, of course, I adore Barry Humphries. So I was getting those Australian voice, not just Edna and Les, but his other characters as well, from a young age.
You are here doing a tour that is a musical tour as well as talk and improvisations. Why are we still so surprised to see comedians? Why are we so surprised to see comedians sing?
I've sort of sung all my life in starting off in school musicals, and then I started doing improv comedy. They'd be singing in that, and then I had radio shows, and I would do comic songs on that. Gavin and Stacey, Bryn sings, different shows, and I'd always wanted to do musical performance of some sort, you know, a musical in the West End. But the problem is, I've kept on having children. So, and if you do a musical in the West End, you're out of the house all the time, and that's not good. So I couldn't do that.
As you just said, you were always an entertainer. You were always performing at school, drama clubs. Obviously, you went to drama school. But your very big break, your first really big break, came somewhat late. It took a few years in your mid-30s. What is it that Steve Coogan saw?
I think he saw a kindred spirit to a degree. We're very similar in many ways, pretty much the same age, although he does like to point out that he's 4 or 5 months younger than me. We both started out doing voices, moved into character comedy. I know that what he loved about Marion and Jeff was its heart, its soul, its lack of cynicism. He loved that. That was something he came to a little bit later in his career. But because he started with that very edgy crowd of Armando Iannucci and Patrick Marber and those guys. There was choose my words now, there was a level of brilliant cynicism to what they did.
It was tough as well.
Yes. So he loved that. He bangs on about that to this day. He loved the heart.
In fact, your niceness is an important part of who you are, isn't it? People respond to it.
What can I say to that? Yes, my niceness is an important part of who I am.
Thank you very much indeed.
No, I know what you mean. And, well, that's just my... that's my character, which is not to say that I don't have off days. Perhaps not as nice, but yeah, I do try to be.
I was reading in preparation, and I was very surprised to see how long you've been doing Would I Lie to You, which is an enormously popular show in Australia. How have they kept the comedic writing at such a high level for so long?
There's no right. The only writing is the writing of the lies, because those are written, but there is no writing in the traditional sense. At its core, there's a great production team, and the three of us genuinely get on very well indeed. We're all quite distinct, quite different, but we sort of give each other space. And I think that comes across.
It's almost surprising, actually, that when you took over, when you've got these two comic geniuses working together, that you can introduce a third comedian into that and not disrupt.
Comic genius, just comedian.
Comedian, we'll take the word comedian.
You've got two comic geniuses and then a comedian. That's
you have two comedians firing, and then you introduce a third, and you managed to make it
So
work.
you've not brought me up to Comic Genius.
Comic
You've
Genius,
just demoted the
you
other
wait till
two
we get
down
to
to
the
comedians.
end. You wait till we get to the end.
Okay.
It's going to be a big paean of praise to your Comic Genius-ness. In one of the scenes in The Trip, you're talking with Steve Coogan, and you're talking about refining your impressions as people age. Now, I have to admit, I feel a lot like someone who's gone to an Elvis Costello concert and begged Elvis Costello to play Alison. But here I am, nonetheless.
What would you like?
Michael Caine.
Michael
the
Caine.
aging Michael Caine.
Well, he's just turned 90, hasn't he? It was his birthday party, I think, was yesterday. Well, I'd noticed. Well, this kind of comes back to this. Oh, you're doing a musical tour. I think anybody who does voices has an inherent musicality to them because they'll hear stuff in the voice. So I notice people aging, and I noticed the main were Michael Caine, Alan Bennett, Barry Gibb, their voices, McCartney, their voices changing. So for Michael Caine, here he goes again. It was in the 1960s, Michael's voice was up there, very, very high. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off, right? And then I said, over the years, the voice, and as you're saying it, you can slowly bring the voice down like that and get very, very breathy and slow until, shall I prepare the Batmobile, Master Bruce?
What was the origin of the Man?
Man in the Box?
Yep.
I was at home with nothing to do, and I was experimenting with my instrument. I was messing about just doing voices because I was thinking about ventriloquists for some reason. And I was thinking, oh, they're cursing, yeah, and they would do all this. And in the middle of doing it, all of a sudden I went, hi there, how you doing? Somebody get me out of here. And I went, oh my God, what's that? But there was this little voice, and I'm totally sincere when I say it is nothing more than a quirky, gimmicky trick. But the number of people...
Why do we love it so much? Why is it so
I
popular?
don't know, but the number of people, and intelligent people, smart people, who are delighted by it.
Where are you? Somebody get me out of here. Oh, my God, what are you doing down there? Hi there, how you doing? Great to see you.
It's nothing more than a gimmick.
What a great gimmick and a great point to end. Rob Brydon, Comic Genius, thank you very much indeed.
You saved that. You knew you were going to use that at the end. That's very clever, very smart, and I stop it. Thank you very much.